I will say this: they've really cleaned this up. Cause I'm having problems finding homeless people, and I'm telling you, there was no problem finding homeless people a little while ago. Now I know after the communist president came by, they cleaned this place up. We're in Oakland, and they really cleaned this place up, and they really cleaned up San Francisco too. And I don't know where they put all those homeless people, but they not where they used to be. What is this? Eclectic artists, I guess. Do your thing. Do your thing. I'm kind of happy that I'm not finding the amount of homeless people that used to be here, man. I'm telling you, take my word for it. Man, I wish I would have recorded this earlier. Just gonna have to take my word that they have really cleaned this place up. Okay. 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 Okay, they're not disappointing here. I might have to turn around on that one. What in the world did I just see? Yeah, let's see if we can turn around. That was interesting. Alright, to my right here, I don't know what is going on. These are your fellow citizens, and they don't get treated as well as illegal aliens. The good with the bad. So off in the hills, it's called the Oakland Hills. And that's where the affluent stay, and I believe that's where we're headed. And the further away you get from Oakland, the less likely you will have to experience the negative consequences of democratic policies. You know, you get to sit in your nice house and look at the TV screen as if you're visiting a zoo and say, look at them. They deserve so much better. Very nice neighborhood. I believe we may be in Piedmont, actually. It's like a little city inside of the city limits of Oakland. I believe it's surrounded by Oakland. I could be wrong, but I know the only way I can get to it is if I'm in Oakland. These people are stopping me on the hill. On a 900-pound motorcycle. Don't like stopping on hills. But it has hill assist, so that's good. Nice day in February. 67 degrees. And this is why people don't want to leave California, despite its politics. And if you're going to be homeless, it's kind of hard to beat the weather. And if you're going to be a homeless drug addict, it's kind of hard to beat the policies here. Because guess what? The people who live around here paying all the taxes that go to fund the NGOs that feed your drug habit. Right? How do they do that? Well, I call it weaponized altruism. And white guilt and black guilt. You may have heard the concepts before, but let's talk about it on our journey. Let's say you're the typical Jane, Paula, Jennifer, who married Paul, Michael, or Dan. And let's say Paul, Michael, or Dan come from a family that left a bit of an inheritance that allowed him a nice step up on that economic ladder. He was able to say he didn't have to save every penny for a down payment for one of these $1 million houses. And maybe you, the girl, Jane, Jennifer, was very studious and played lacrosse. You got a scholarship to Brown where you majored in anthropology. And when you move back to California with your degree in anthropology, hopefully Brown has an anthropology department, you're like, wow, there's not a lot of opportunities for anthropology for me. But this new startup is hiring for an administrative assistant. And so you apply, and lo and behold, you can read and write. So you have the skills necessary to do this job. But there's competition. And your competition is people with high school degrees or college diplomas from like Chico State, Eastern Michigan University. And guess what? You get the job. Why? Because when that startup wants to do their evaluations for next line of credit, it would be nice for them to say, hey, we have our entire staff is Ivy League staffers. Is Brown in Ivy League? I believe it is. All right, we can switch schools to Columbia if that helps. Right? So Jane gets the job and she gets stock in this little startup because they don't have a lot of money to pay, and she's excited about what they do. And she can afford to take stock because her parents can float her lifestyle, which is meager at first. And, her husband, when she meets him, he's making a little money because he got a degree in engineering, so he's going to be employed. And now, 10 years after they meet, they have their little bundle of joy, and they live in this nice house, and they turn on the news and see all the pain and suffering that their fellow Americans are going through, and they're like, it's really sad that they have to suffer. But listen, there's politicians out there really trying to help these people. I think, maybe we should vote for them, those politicians, because these other politicians, all they're doing is saying, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But we didn't really do that. Unbeknownst to them, they did. Getting a degree, being responsible, that's part of that method, right? You could have got the inheritance from your parents and smoked it up and crack and cocaine, but you did the responsible thing. You made something of your life, but I digress. So it's people that live around here who are affluent and don't live anywhere near, well, technically they do live near the negative consequences of these democratic policies, but they're far enough removed where the negative consequences of these policies don't hit home every day. They just see it on TV. And every once in a while, they'll get a car broken into, someone steals a bike out of the open car garage or something. And that's their contribution to society. But what they don't realize is they're destroying society. The affluent they often feel guilty for being affluent. And where did that come from? It ain't come from capitalists, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you, it came from socialists and Marxists who basically peddle in jealousy. That's their main emotion. Is that an emotion? Or state of being? Just jealous? We should all help our fellow man reach out and give support to people who are trying to help themselves. But we have to have standards. You have to, accountability you have to have accountability. Now, I'm just rambling on here. Hopefully I'm making some type of sense as you come with me on this ride. It's a nice ride. It's going to get really windy here in a minute. But back to the black and white guilt. You see this with a lot of black athletes. It's like, I grew up poor, single parent home, now I'm a multi-millionaire, but I want to make sure people know I haven't changed. I didn't sell out. It's a famous comedian, at least amongst my age group, Robin Harris. And he did a special called Bebe's Kids. And he opens that special. He had a part in Do the Right Thing with Spike Lee. And Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, he had a part in that. And his name was Sweet Willie. And during that special, he said, his friends asked him once he started making all type of money if he was going to change. And his response was, you goddamn right I'm going to change. What the hell am I hanging around here with y'all folks for? I'm going to do the right thing. And I wish more people had that attitude, because as some other person once said, the best thing you can do for a poor person is not be one. Right? And what makes people poor? Is it the color of their skin? Is that a genetic defect? Or a genetic benefit? That the defect is, if the more melanin you got, the poorer you should be. The less melanin you got, the richer you should be. Well, that's what the media would like you to think in a lot of history books. But that is not the case. I'm here to tell you, it's a lot of poor white people and a lot of rich black people. What makes you rich? What makes you poor? Decisions you make. Good decisions. Even bad decisions, because you should learn from your good and bad decisions. Goals. Right? You should have goals. If you don't have any goals, you ain't getting nowhere. It's pretty simple. And just because you have a goal, that don't mean you're going to reach that goal the first time you try to reach the goal. You may fail several times. You know what I mean? But yeah, back to the white and black guilt. Guilt is a powerful thing. And I always, have a side eye when I see all these like NBA players and NFL players with their charities and all this stuff, and I'm giving back and da 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 da. Yes, I'm happy that they are doing that. But what comes with that also is a tax break. And if they really wanted to give back, this is my humble opinion, they should invest in the human capital of the community by providing them with opportunities to obtain skills other people are willing to pay for. And some of you may say, hey, that sounds familiar. And if you have ever read or if you know of Time and Soul, that's where I got it from. But you just handing people clothes or handing them meals at Thanksgiving, what's that do? I mean, they good for a day, right? You're sending people to college to get degrees in African American studies. What's that going to do? Right? If I had the money, I would send people to college, engineering only. You lose your scholarship if you don't have a 3.5. Period. And hold people before the scholarship is even given. Set expectations. We believe you can obtain these. The standard that I'm setting. If you set a standard, people will reach it. But I think it was up in Portland, they're like taking math out of school or something like that, or grades for math out of school, just getting rid of standards. What do you think that community is going to look like in 20 years when you can't go and work and earn a living and you're dependent on your fellow Americans to help you in your retirement years? These people are going to be no good. God bless them, but Jesus. I think these people ran out of funding for that house we just passed. I done passed that house a couple of times. It looks the same. Sad. Ain't nobody gonna feel sorry for that person though, right? We're up in the hills, folks. And man, I wonder if you can find a Trump supporter anywhere on this journey. When I say Trump supporter, not the man himself, but a Trump supporter. I wonder if you find like a diehard like Trump supporter that goes to the rallies. Or can we just find someone who's not a Democrat? Or someone who takes the time to know the policies that they're voting for. And not the person who's advocating the policies. Oh, I like him or I like her. She's cute. That was everybody did that with Obama. I wonder if people can get seasick or motion sickness from watching this. If you do, I'm sorry. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Shouldn't. I'm not going that fast. from civilization to the middle of nowhere in 5 minutes. Tell you, man, Northern California is a beautiful place. And I hope my fellow citizens come to their senses and stop voting for these democratic policies that just have been destroying generations of black people. I mean, it's frustrating. But to say that, it's frustrating. But hey, if you can ride a motorcycle and at the end of February in 69, what does that thing say? 67 degree weather, it's hard to beat it. Yes, nice day. We got a lot of rain recently. I hope I can get through here without some type of weird mudslide or something. I took this road once, and this was about 3 or 4 months ago. And like 2 boar came out of here, just up out of the trees, not out of the trees, but from the valley below, or whatever, the canyon below, whatever you want to call it, just crossed right in front of me. Like, wow, okay. That tree just recently fell, and they just recently cut it away. Now this is going to dump us out into a little sleepy town. So the population there is older, definitely older. The old school liberals, boomers, California hippies maybe, good-hearted people, but they just don't realize the negative consequences of the policies they advocate or that they vote for, you know. I think maybe, hopefully, they're waking up to it now. The rise in crime, but all my life, crime has been rising, right? Every election year, the rise in crime. Out here in California, Adam Schiff has a commercial that basically you can run every 4 years. He's saying nothing new. Like, oh, people can't afford to live. The crime rate is rising. It's like, dude. Like, what policies are you trying to advocate for? If you're not willing to get on the podcast and explain yourself, you're not getting my vote. I hope you guys are enjoying this ride. I hope it brings some insight into why a lot of people remain in California. You'll tolerate a lot of BS if you're able to do stuff like this. Not saying you should tolerate it, but just kind of shining the light on why people remain in California, why people just accept these ridiculously high taxes. Because it's the end of February and I'm riding a motorcycle through a forest and I'm having fun. The road's a little wetter than I like, but I think I'm alright. I got new tires. For some reason, there's a post office out here. And apparently there's some children walking out of the woods. Is that a school? Maybe it's a school. Woo woo! Yeah, it's a school. Yes, I am doing over the speed limit, if anyone cares. Slowing down now, though. Not crazy. What's up, fella? Hey, do you guys do the little motorcycle wave too? For my motorcycle listeners? Yeah, out here, if you pass a motorcycle, you gotta wave at them. When it's safe to do so. We got a horse crossing. Yeah, I need to go this way. Nice place to have a lunch break, Mr. AT&T, or Mrs. AT&T. There's a little brook running to the right of me, and that's really cool. I don't know if this camera's picking that up, but it's nice. All right, we're coming back into civilization here. I think there's a park up here, like a national park. It's kind of interested in stopping and seeing it, but not today. Some cows over to the left. Yeah, this place. It's probably, yeah, it's a body of water over there. Huh. civilization. There's a speed trap up here all the time. Rightfully so. In a little sleepy town. Like I said, she's probably the youngest person I've ever seen in this town, but I'm being silly. It's probably somebody's granddaughter. I don't know. Recently, you have had younger people move in because, you know, people do go to meet their makers. But the man on the left there is fairly representative of the population of this town. Fairly old. How much pain can you endure, right? How much of the taxes can be taken before they say, well, let me turn off the mainstream media and let me go to YouTube and listen to another point of view. I know I've been listening to mainstream TV all my life. People grew up with Walter Cronkite. Hey, old Magnum PI's Ferrari over there to the right, to the left. Jesus, pain, not enough pain. You know, I don't think it's enough pain. Those who can leave, those who wake up and like, you know, this isn't right, this isn't fair. Meaning, you know, all my taxes is going to feed America's homeless, and now the world's homeless with all this illegal immigration, whatever. People who can afford to leave, they leave. People who can't afford to leave, either monetarily speaking, or that, you know, you have grandchildren, or, you know, you have a really good job you won't be able to find elsewhere. You'll be stuck here. Probably with me. I escaped this situation once before. That was Michigan. I'm old enough to remember what the media deemed white flight, and that's a bit disingenuous because it was basically green flight. If you had the green to leave, you left. And if you didn't have the green to leave, you were stuck. Oh, we're going to go past some young folk here. St. Mary's College of California. Typically have a pretty good basketball team. Yeah, but what's it going to take? Is it going to take a whole bunch of migrants living out here? Camping out in front of people's houses, you know, ringing the doorbell, begging for money? Maybe. I have some friends. I guess we're considered friends, and just in case they ever hear this, love you guys. But it's a typical situation, very left-leaning, for good reason. Maybe personal trauma or personal circumstance has them believing that they need government protection, so to speak, against their fellow citizens. But they were living in Oakland, where crime was running rampant, and what did? They just moved and left their neighbors there to deal with the crime. That's what happened. And once they moved, they still had that belief system. No, values that, I'm my brother's keeper. Well, I don't hold that saying in great regard. I would like to be able to take care of myself first, and then take care of my brother. And I want to hold my brother to high expectations so that we can help each other when time arises.
I just wanted to remind you guys to check out thebrokecapitalist.com. You'll find some awesome books there, including a historical fantasy fiction series that I star in, called Ideas in Blood.